No Rest for the Wicked is a lot of things. It has Souls-like combat and exploration, Diablo-style loot, and survival game resource gathering. I've loved games that do each of these individually, but I can't quite bring myself to love No Rest for the Wicked. I really like this game. The world, the exploration, and the art direction are all incredible. It has the ingredients to become something truly special, but it's just not there yet because of several conflicting design decisions. The game has been in early access for just over a year, and I've spent more than 100 hours across 3 different playthroughs. I definitely got my money's worth, and I've been there for every major content update, watching the game change, mostly for the better. The developers are actively working to refine the core gameplay, and aren't afraid to overhaul systems that aren't working. That's really commendable. But this is still a paid product, and as a paying customer, I want to share my honest feedback. Starting with the positives, the visuals are some of the best in the industry. The world is beautiful everywhere you go. While the character designs might feel a bit cartoony to some, I honestly love them. They remind me of Overwatch, where every character and enemy has a distinct silhouette and visual identity. No Rest for the Wicked also has a strong narrative, which often isn't a priority in games with Souls DNA. The characters and their interactions breathe life into the setting in a way few action RPGs manage. The exploration is excellent. Fast travel is limited. You can only warp to your most recent checkpoint, your house, or the town hub. This can be a double-edged sword. Backtracking is a big part of the game, but that means shortcuts actually matter. Discovering one can shave minutes off your return trip, and that makes the world feel connected in a way that reminds me of the first half of Dark Souls and finding the elevator back to Firelink Shrine. Now for the issues. To be clear, just because I don't love the game in its current state doesn't mean I never will. The devs have been addressing feedback and fixing problems. For example, upgrading the town requires a good deal of wood, and they significantly improve the grind by boosting drop rates. I was once soft-locked out of upgrading the town builder because I didn't get a random fruit pie recipe. That recipe is now guaranteed to be sold by the chef. I couldn't upgrade my staff due to a lack of bear paws. Now rare animal parts drop more reliably, and you can trade for the parts you need. These changes show that the devs are listening, which is why I'm even bothering to make this video. The biggest hurdle No Rest for the Wicked faces is that it's trying to combine multiple genres, Souls-likes, loot ARPGs, and survival games, but not all of those systems play nicely together. Let's start with the clash that new players notice immediately: Souls-like combat and survival resource management. In traditional Souls games, you're expected to die a lot. However, the punishment for dying is relatively light. Yes, you drop your currency, but you get a chance to recover it. You can also spend it before a tough fight to avoid risk. On top of that, your healing resource is restored. Resting at a bonfire resets your Estus flasks, so there's no real penalty to trying again. No Rest for the Wicked flips this. Dying degrades your equipment, and repairing it costs money. Healing items don't replenish. You have to refarm and recraft them, and once they're used, they're gone. This system is fine for experienced players, and those with meta knowledge. There's usually enough healing around if you aren't taking a lot of damage, or if you know where to look. I only ran out of food once in my latest playthrough, and later in the game, the right gear makes healing a non-issue. The problem is that the more you struggle with combat, the more healing you need, and the more time you spend farming instead of progressing. If you're not good at the game yet, a majority of your time will be spent picking up items instead of enjoying combat or exploration. Fast travel is limited, so if you run out of healing during a tough boss, you might spend 10 to 20 minutes gathering ingredients just to try again. What was supposed to be a change of pace can quickly become a tedious chore. This design choice caused a lot of players to bounce off the game in a recent update. Enemies were slightly overtuned, and healing drops were too rare. The devs have since made adjustments, but they only lowered the bar for how good you had to be to avoid excessive farming. That bar is still there. To fix this problem, there needs to be a reliable way to replenish basic healing items that isn't so time-consuming. It doesn't need to be an Estus flask. Ideally, it should fit the systems already in the game. One promising idea the devs have mentioned is a literal farm. There's already a barren field near the town's main waypoint that spawns a few healing plants. If that field could be upgraded like the other town features to produce a steady supply of basic healing resources, that alone would fix a major pain point. Now, healing isn't so bad if you know how to use runes. For example, instead of eating after every fight, you can use Heal Aura to convert Focus, the game's mana equivalent, into health. There's even a rune that repairs your gear, saving you a ton of money. But here's the catch. Experimenting with runes is expensive. Once you slot a rune, you can only remove it by destroying the rune or the entire weapon. This discourages experimentation, especially when resources are tight. The same is true for gems. Slot the wrong one and you've permanently weakened your weapon. These systems are supposed to be about customization, but they punish curiosity. Players should be able to unslot and reuse gems and runes, so they can experiment freely without bricking the gear they've invested in. There are a few other ways to get heals and repairs, but they all have their own issues. Repair powder exists as a consumable to fix gear, but for some reason you can only craft it if you come across a rare recipe. If you don't find that recipe, there's no consistent way to farm it. A completely free version of healing is resting in a bed. You'll need to fast travel back to town for this one, unless you abuse the realm system. No Rest for the Wicked has a unique new game system that allows you to use any character in any save file. That means you can quit out of your current save file and load up one where you're standing next to a bed. You can also use this trick for free repairs at the starting area blacksmith. Having multiple save files gives you access to multiple copies of the world, its vendors, and its resources. If you aren't doing this, you're severely limiting your resource economy, but it feels more like an exploit than a cool feature when you're using it to get free heals and repairs.
Those rags are wearing aren't fit for the fire.
Here's where things really fall apart. The weapon system tries to combine Diablo-style random loot with Souls-like weapon investment. The result is a frustrating mess. Any weapon can be endgame viable if you invest in it, but there are 3 layers of RNG before you even get a good one. First, you need the weapon to actually drop. There are over 100 weapons in No Rest for the Wicked, and outside of vendors, every weapon you come across is completely random. I'm 70 hours into the latest update, and I've seen 1 Risen Blade. Next, you need to roll well on the base stats. Weapons have random rolls for weight, stamina cost, and focus gain. Focus gain is the most important of the 3. Low rolls can mean half as much mana for the same effort. You got the legendary sword, Falstad's Fury. Well, I hope you can find another one, because this one's junk. The final level of RNG is enchantments. Weapons can drop with magical or plagued enchantments, and right now, plagued enchantments are just plain better. To demonstrate how rough this is, I replayed the starting area 45 times to reach the blacksmith who always sells the same 11 weapons. Out of 495 weapons, only 14 had the potential to be truly great. That is less than 3%. I have seen 1 Risen Blade, never mind 495. Most players will never have a perfect version of their favorite weapon. Even if you get a weapon you like, it might not scale with your build. Even if it does, you might roll terrible stats, and even then, you might get the wrong enchantment. I'm not even going to touch on rolling perfect skills, because that is nothing next to just getting your hands on a perfect weapon. As it stands, No Rest for the Wicked simply does not respect the player's investment. From tedious farming to excessive weapon grinding and real-world timers, too many systems feel designed to drain your energy rather than reward it. I only recommend games to my friends if I think they'll have a good time, and right now I can't confidently say that about No Rest for the Wicked. Until the devs address early game resource friction and the frustrating layers of RNG and late game progression, I can like this game, but I can't love it.